Wait, that is too loud. I need to turn that down. I miss having my music and my Discord in two different things. There we go. And apologies for that mucking around, everyone. I am now live, sort of, kind of. I'm recording at least anyway. Hi! This is Elkavash, and I have the crew here from Invictwitch getting ready to get started again on our thing. As you may have noticed, there are no videos up on display at the moment because this is currently audio only. I have had a lot of problems over this long hiatus we've had, and I won't go into too many details there, but all you really need to know is that today we're going to be doing audio recording only, whilst I manually try to readjust my entire system to be back the way it was. Hey, say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hey. Are we hyped?
Are we?
I am.
Woo, good to go.
I can't beatbox to save my life.
Neither can I.
That is a terrible, terrible and pardonable sin.
Beatbox? I barely know him.
We're going to be heavily restricted on the amount of time that we can play now, just because of personal life stuffs. So I'm not going to muck around too much. I'm sort of just going to dive into this. Retreating from the underworld with their prize, Arthur, Heron, and a small contingent of ghosts escape into creation to find De Novo, pulled through the threads of essence into the center of town, with the last remaining vestiges of the hungry masses. Tasting the might of the sun, they are obliterated. Catching up with their friends, Sagacious Hand, Kalis, and Tarala, they discover that Marcus is possessed of his brother-in-law's soul, and the two are fighting a battle for control, although Marcus remains only aware of it from the group's intervention. A twin dragon force of realm soldiers, deceased from the last war 20 years ago, seem to be still plaguing this land, and, led by their dragon-blooded commanders, are seeking Marcus's final destruction. The balance of war between the rival forces was tipped when Kaldor troops were summoned to the castle via the celebrations and passed on to Leith after the lessons of the dragons were so explicitly touted by those actors present and the humbling of Alexander Marcus. As the realm's troops now pose a significant threat, Kalis, Hand, and Tarala have sued for a simple duel challenge between commanders to settle the decades-long descent and try to bring final rest, to the hundreds of souls still trapped in creation. Underneath all this existential crisis rests a more insidious infection. A Fae has been discovered to be wreaking havoc with the diplomatic relations between houses and kingdoms for the summit. Drawn to the surface by Sagacious Hand's allure, Silken Kitsune and Hand both gamble everything on a pair of gambits that end in Hand's favour. Even against the best intended advice from his companions, Hand deals with the Fae, and Jonathan's ritual is used to force the Fae from every creation born it was possessing into a single solid body. Still clearly magical in nature, with no clear motivation or plan, the Silken Kitsune swears allegiance to Sagacious Hand. But how far can you trust a Fae? And what will be the cost of losing the only hand they had to play? As tensions in the group rise and their loyalties to each other are tested, battle looms on the horizon, while serpents coil in their midst. How will our champions of Lambert Heights claim victory? Or is such a feat already too far beyond their grasp?
Ooh.
And I know you guys can't hear the music, but my god, that queued up really well with me. So I'm just going to put that there.
I'll take your word for it.
I now need to turn Discord down a little bit. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of manually adjusting things because of all the automated stuff I had set up just sort of isn't working. So, with all that said and done, we have a little bit of a preparation of a theme to say before we launch into the scene. Does everyone remember where they are and what they were doing?
We're in the dungeons. obviously in the lower area of the castle, having collected a whole bunch of reagents, and Arthur Shasta and De Novo have performed the spell.
All right. Yeah, and yeah, we had just gotten through that, and I don't think we got much further than talking.
Sorry.
Kitsune.
I remember it took the form of like a origami fox.
Yes.
Like it kind of came out, yeah.
I also participated in that ritual. Thanks for remembering, folks.
Did you?
I did the binding incantation because nobody could think of one on the spot.
Oh yes, that's right. You made an awesome poem.
I mean, it was pretty. It wasn't that. I know. I don't think it was awesome, but yeah, I don't know why you're relying on Kalis's like shaman craft. It's really disconcerting. As this like campaign's going on, they're gonna get. It's like, you're not really a shaman, are you? It'd be like, oh, busted.
So, just to set the scene. That's playing properly.
Will there be music on the final recording?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
The wild is wondrous. Every moment is a new one waiting to happen, and ones that are happening. With each beat of our dissipating hearts, passages to untouched places are paved. We're not bound by this world or the next, nor are we bound by fear. Nothing binds us to anything but the very idea of things being linear, and even that can be broken through disassembly or comprehensive discovery of matter and form and energy and the spaces between. In the vastness of the region of infinite potential, we could succeed beyond any boundary. And then came the drowning and the screaming sheets of rain, colour and depth falling and in and out of perception. A new form now shocked by millions of hissing thunderbolts lighting up spaces where concepts had been erased and then forgotten. An itch in the mind of what was once and was not and supposedly is asserts itself and spreads like an illness, infecting and killing all life and potential. Cruel. Dark. A weight that intensifies, dragging everything down. The spectrum becomes binary. We fell. All. Off the highest zeniths with wings they never had, burnt to twisted bone and fluttering ash. Life is now death, and the abyss calls ever downwards. They hit a wall straight on and explode into this tragic place where we operate as we do and expand as we are. Here Silken Kitsune has no weight, no resonance, only a memory of a tree to which it once belonged, a branch now withered, and they too are adrift in an unknown landscape of greys. Silken Kitsune is no longer the leaf upon the water. The oppressive constraints of reality bear down, and Silken Kitsune is now the penny at the bottom of the pool. There are a lot of pennies, senses dulled as they are, but they are known to each other. But this world is dense, solid, fact. Pennies cannot move, it says. They are trapped, drowning, stagnant, and lost. This is where dreams come to die, and curiosity always seeks the penny. Silken Kitsune, as we mentioned before, appears somewhat as a origami fox. It's made up of this long band of silk, twisted into this single solid form. And as the essence in the room settles, and its form is fully realized and noted by those who had partaken in this ritual, there's a soft An observer on the scene makes themselves known to a man probably somewhere between 5 and 6 foot. It's hard to tell given his stooped posture. He wears clothes fine enough, and yet they hang off him in droves, sheaths of silk almost. Superfluous and wasted, as his body is so clearly emaciated. Done. His lips. Yes?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were still reading. I was going to ask if I can make a roll, but that's fine.
A roll for what?
I was going to ask if I could do a perception plus performance to gauge whether that was sarcastic clapping or actual general appreciation of our performance.
It's genuine. I'll just tell you it's
cool.
genuine.
Okay, nice.
The reason it was slow is because this person, as I was describing, is like heavily emaciated, withered, and apparently weak. His lips are pulled tight against his face, sort of exposing just a little bit too much tooth and gum when he speaks or smiles. His eyes are heavily sunken. His limbs are, bare twigs. The only thing really sort of lifelike and luscious about him is his hair. It's very long, unkempt, as if it hasn't sort of seen touch of a comb for months at a time. A similarly long, luxurious beard that hangs down from his face, down past his middle. The colour of his hair is white and black. One wouldn't be excused for confusing it for grey, because the contrast between the white strands and the black strands is so intense that it acts more. Those really weird visual puzzles where your vision gets all fuzzy.
Oh yeah. I'm good at those. It's actually one of those few things where my bad vision actually makes me good at them.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. It's the colours of his hair, of the white and the black, don't blend together, as I said, to create grey. It's this visual affront, as the stark contrast between them sort of just buzzes it in your vision, and it's all through his hair and all down through.
Does this person seem? Did you say he was old?
Yes, he is old.
Fantastic. I would like to snap off the restraint off young. It's not Jonathan. Oh gosh, what's his name?
James Carson.
Carson. And then take the chair, while rising him out of the chair, and put it down for the elderly visitor, and produce the leftovers of the stew that Terraria cooked, which I'm carrying in a little travel urn underneath some of my garments, and basically give him some stew and a chair to sit down with. Please sit, elder.
He regards the chair without so much as a single speck of thanks, and actually turns his nose up at the idea of the stew, giving a bit of a not quite disgusted sniff at the thought of consuming something like that.
It's not poisoned. Look, tasty.
Hashtag rude.
Thank you, Kalis, but I am simply not interested.
Forgive me, perhaps I presumed, are you, one of the spirits that have, been so inundating this land?
No. Try again.
I am stumped. This is a puzzle, perhaps, somebody else can help. Our cook is, superb. I have not tasted so much, wholesome foods, in many of my travels.
My word, what else in the world could possibly be standing before you now? Perhaps your learned companion could hazard a guess. Gestures towards Arthashasta. I'd like to note that he is almost exactly the opposite of Arthashasta, in that Arthashasta is, tall and broad and healthy and, prim and proper and kempt. This person is almost the exact opposite. He has just the same sort of size nails, except these are sort of more, the quick is sort of pulled back and sort of sunken away. His knuckles are stark white where the skin is pulled taut against the bone because there's no sort of meat or flesh underneath to give it purchase.
Can I make a medicine roll? Because clearly this person has some sort of medical condition.
You certainly can.
That's my opinion.
You certainly can.
Does he bear any resemblance to Arthashasta?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, that silence is the sound of dice being rolled in a digital format.
6 successes.
Okay. You would probably need to sort of, sit down and get a much closer look at this person and really sort of go over what could be the cause of what you're seeing here. But the symptoms that you're seeing here are essentially malnourishment and starvation. It is as if he has not eaten or drunk or slept in, again, months.
So Arthur Sasser would just look at him and I said, well, if you were to ask me, I would say you are a man who should not turn down stew. It's hearty. You look to be in poor health and nutrition.
Indeed. Just the way I like it.
You are not perhaps
your body being out of its proper alignment?
I am waiting for it to decide that it's had enough. Fortunately, I have not been that lucky.
I mean, if you wish to depart this level of reality, surely there's an easier way out.
I haven't the stomach for violence. Something about this conversation, the way this man looks, the way he's talking about himself, strikes you as familiar, Arthashasta. As if he's someone you should probably know, but haven't quite put two and two together yet.
Have we met in the past? Were you a former patient of mine?
No. I have not sought a doctor's touch in almost 4 decades now.
Out of character, how old does this guy look?
Like 40. 80 something.
Oh, okay.
He is, like, despite his appearance, and I mean, like, he is emaciated, he is malnourished, he is lacking sleep, but yet he continues sort of moving, and there's this not sort of unnatural, supernatural strength about him, but he is, like, the fact that he's standing and not leaning on anything is odd. He should probably be needing help, but there's a energy about his body that is suggesting that he's moving on well beyond the point where it should have collapsed. Must know my name is Yunan, and I suspect that would tell you all you need about me. But I have seen from here what I wished to see, and it is time I moved on. The name Yunan, by the way, Arthur Shasta, is essentially synonymous with all of your core reading from Volivar in your primary and even secondary education levels. He basically wrote the foremost seminal, dissertation paper on essence, ley lines, dragon lines, in the way they interact with the world and are influenced by the people around them. His work is like, it's, as I said, it's taught in all of the schools.
His work is the textbook.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, at that point, Arthur Shasta's gonna kind of bug out. He's gonna look a little starstruck and kind of quickly move to interpose himself between the door and the master. Say, forgive me, it's been a complicated series of days. Forgive my manners. Yes, I'm Arthur Shasta. It's a pleasure to meet you. You've had such a formative experience on me while growing up.
He said he came what he came to see. Old man came down that staircase, the same one that Mason has a fair amount of asthmatic attack going down. Is he okay?
Sorry, out of character, are you asking me?
That in character, like it is. It took Mason started getting asthmatic, getting it down these stairs. This is a very old man who's just slow clapped, and then like, I've seen all I need to see, and is now leaving. It's like, what?
Yeah, Arthur Shasta's gonna just shoot you this look like the enlightened are different than you and I. They do not need to tether themselves in creation in the same way.
Yunan's amused by that statement.
Did I say something funny?
I'm sorry. I thought you were above such. I thought you were educated. Perhaps the great schools of Bolivar are less than they are touted.
I will admit that we're a little rough around the edges and uncouth by some standards, but demeanor and intellect are two completely different categories.
Good. Now, if you wouldn't mind stepping out of my way, go meet my apprentice.
Jonathan?
No. You can see he's almost insulted by the assumption that he would be involved with such a simpleton.
Digging this hole deeper. Yeah, Arthur Sasa will open the door for him and get out of his way.
May I ask one question before you leave?
Yeah.
I'm
Make
going to
it
take
quick.
that silence
Make
as a
it
yes.
quick.
Well, we haven't met. How did you come to know my name and why?
I am acquainted with the king. He knows you. He gave me your names. I surmised who you were based on the descriptions.
Well, pleasant journeys. You sure you don't need any sustenance?
I am certain. And with that, unless anyone is going to make any specific moves to stop him, he will actually depart.
No moves to stop him. I'm staying
Mhm.
right beside the little foxy fae that's just appeared. To then, I will be asking Kalis if he wouldn't mind, like banging out one of the rocks, like a stone from the ground, so we can use that as a diversion. I just need a big rock, is what Sagacious Hand describes. It's just like yay big, just kind of like karate chop the ground, so we've got a rock to put on something to carry upstairs.
Kalis looks like... What? He's like sort of shrugs. You can tell he's like, I can get the rock. He just, I assume I can grab a rock from the ground. Like,
Why not? One of the stones is loose. Oh.
Okay, with the rock now picked up, using the chair that is no longer needed for either Carson or the guest we've just had, the rock is placed on top of the chair, and some of those the chains that were binding up Carson are now wrapped around this rock and secured tightly onto the chair. Ta-da! I give you the Killing Stone.
the what?
This is the Killing Stone, where our Sohai and the sorcerers have used their divine magic to, and his hands start speeding through the air as he's trying to think of the story, think of the words, where the possessing spirit has been pulled out and transformed into the stone that you see before you. But do not touch it, for anyone who touches this rock, it will surely kill you. But here is the proof and what has been taken out of Carson. Ta-da!
I know you are the chieftain, but wouldn't it be easier to tell them the truth?
They probably don't want the truth. I think a stone that is so powerful it needs to be locked up on a chair, and if you touch it, you die, sounds a lot more interesting.
Hand, are you okay?
That seems needlessly complex.
I mean, I wholeheartedly
But I love a
like
good story.
Yes,
Yeah.
the story's good. Let's go for it.
But are you okay? This is not your caliber of plan. This is not a hand level caliber of plan.
Someone's
This is
going to ask,
outside of the knot.
someone's going to ask what this, pointing to the fox, what this is, what's happened with Carson, why it was in Carson, why it was in people who are upstairs. I'm shoring up an idea where not everyone wants to go kill this thing. Now it's no longer the thing that was actually responsible for killing people. It's an out.
Oh.
It's not flashy, but sometimes a rock on a chair will get people looking at the chair instead of... And he just head nods towards the Silken Kitsune.
I mean, if you want, I can go back to the Excelsior, grab a bunch of fox masks, and we can just leave looking like this thing. That way we can just be like, no, it's just part of the crew. You just didn't miscount it last time. We don't have to do this whole rock thing.
I will turn to the entity and be like, do you have a name you wish to be addressed by?
Its shape moves as if it's trying to speak, but no sound issues. It is visibly annoyed by this.
Officer Shasta, can I borrow that thing that makes a mess over hands? And the stuff that I use for when I need to relieve myself.
Water?
Yeah.
No, you... For making records of the House of Knowledges.
Oh, paper?
No, the thing that goes with it. Yes, ink.
Yeah, he rummages around and finds you and quill and tosses it to you.
I will then take that ink, quill, and paper and place it in front of the fox creature and look at it, see if it can communicate through weird symbols.
It paws at the quill, but given that it's a fox paw simile, it's not very well equipped for gripping quills. So instead, it sort of just dips its tail into, scribbles out in whatever language. We'll say, what is it called? Are we in the river?
We're river speak, I believe.
River
That's
speak.
right.
No. So go with my head.
Silken Kitsune.
This silk.
Kalis looks around the group expectantly for somebody to read it out to him.
Okay. Tarala reads it.
It says Silken Kitsune.
Okay. So Silken Kitsune.
Oh. Well, pleasure to meet you, Silken Kitsune. I just thought it was a bit rude, us talking about this clearly intelligent entity without knowing, at least trying to know its name.
I did like 3 times. But technically, I own it. And part of the deal was that I wanted your name. I already knew your name, but I get to rename you? Are you a new thing? Is this like day 1? Oh, is it its birthday? This is...
The excitement that Sand is showing towards it seems to please it a little bit, I suppose you'd say. And it does that dog/cat, actually it's more cat-like, the rub up against you sort of motion. Sand, I'm sending you a quick message.
Okay. Yeah, we've just pulled a creature, a sentient entity
Now it's my.
from the... One second. Shh, out you go. A sentient entity out of the... And as it rubs up against his leg, it's like, oh. Sagacious Hand stops talking and just stares down at the fox where it's touched him.
Curls up and sits down on your feet.
Cool. Yay! Okay, so hey guys, we are on a winning streak where we have just turned an assassin into a potential friend. This is nice. Look, hand down, starts like scruffling at the back of the origami ears. It's just like a very odd version of Johan. It'll be awesome.
It is nothing like Johan, except in the fact that it is a creature that is
Roughly dog-shaped.
I was going to say more dangerous than it gives off by its initial appearance, and I would not treat it like a pet.
They're both magical, though. Probably.
Well, currently it has absolutely no thoughts about attacking us or destroying our souls. So I think at this point, looking to James Carson. What's he doing?
What is James Carson doing? He's up against one of the walls, a little there. Not really sure what he should be doing or how he should be reacting. This very cavalier conversation has taken place immediately after he's been freed from what seems like demonic possession to him. So he's sort of just off over in the corner as if being used to not being the important thing to talk about. In fact, when you go to look at him, he almost sort of yelps in surprise at the sudden attention.
Sagacious Hand strides across the gulf between them, hand out to take his hand in his, other hand over the top, like, you know. Sagacious Hand, nice to meet you officially. Really sorry for any anything that might have translated between the two. It is lovely to have you back. And how is your tongue? Look, we have two doctors right here, like hand on his back. Would you like to sit down, just be relatively debrief, check that you are okay? Do not worry, the demon is gone. You are, and starts on the spiel to make him feel better that, you know, it was all a dream. Clearly this horrible thing has happened to him, but it is okay now. Do not worry, for we are here.
It is trapped in this stone! Okay, let's points to the rock.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at the stone, and then looks at Silken Kitsune, and then looks at the stone, and goes, yeah, sure, yes, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do a read intentions roll. Does he have any intention of ratting us out? Like, does he remember what's happened? Do I need to make said roll, or is he applying no guile to such a thing?
No guile. So the best way I can describe it at the moment is he wouldn't gainsay sand specifically. Seems content to sort of just to do whatever he's told right now.
All right, what is next on our list of things to knock over before tomorrow? Scarshan like claps his hand excitedly, rubbing them together. It's like, come on, we're on a roll. We're on a win streak here. Nothing has exploded. Let's go.
Should we resolve the issue with Phoebus and the king, or have we decided on that front? I feel like it's a very important thing before we leave.
When we were having a conversation, both Arthrashasta and De Novo have mentioned that it's not possible at this time, but all that would take is time. So I guess the question would be, are we going to hang around here for a little bit longer after, we already have a prior engagement, shall we say, in the next couple of days, specifically looking to Torala in regards to the duel.
Go ahead.
No, you.
No, just go ahead. I was gathering my thoughts. I'm doing the moose hand thing, and not realizing we don't even have a camera.
Yeah. This may sound like crazy tie, chair, and rock together plan, but have we tried just getting the king and Phoebus to peacefully coexist together? It could be a blessing, not a curse. I mean, you have the power, it seems, to make people stick to their word. Why not just get them to agree to play nice in the same body? It doesn't seem like Phoebus is malice when we spoke to him.
I don't think the issue is so much animosity between the two, but what would the effects be of introducing an exigence to someone in such a situation? It could have very powerful, unforeseen results.
But interesting for you, I wager?
Yes, but after what happened with, out of character, what's the guy that turned into a tree briefly?
He's here in the room with you. And his what was his name? I've forgotten. 1 second.
Lord Wyatt.
That's the
Wyatt,
one.
yeah.
Yes, but after what happened to Lord Wyatt, I'm less eager to observe the interesting effects of essence on physiological forms through unwilling, unconsenting, unpredictable experimentation on others.
Good, you are learning. This is reassuring.
I never wanted to do this in the first place.
Well, we will be able to talk to Phoebus more tonight. Until then, we can talk to Marcus more today. So it looks like Lord Wyatt, successful day. More importantly, Sir Carson, Lord Carson. We're okay. Everyone's good, because it seems like almost like the bouncing up and down on his feet. Like, we're done. We need to move on. The next task.
Could we capitalize on this? Clearly we have liberated a lot of influential, powerful people from the grasp of, and he looks to the stone, demonic persuasion.
Sagacious Hand will ask Lord Wyatt if he could, we need to find the diplomat from Krivia, make sure that she's okay, and the people who are upstairs. So that should be their next stop.
I'll have my men work on it
Officially
immediately.
clear Sagacious Hand's name. Thank you.
Is Novo here?
Yeah, everyone's here.
Ah, okay.
Just Avis is very quiet.
Yeah, I mentally thought he wasn't in the room for some reason.
Is there a reason? You asked. I'm asking.
What do you wish to see done?
I resign myself to whatever is going to happen.
Good to know.
Okay, well,
just
does anyone...
out of character.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Does anyone have anything pressing they want to make sure gets done, or should we move on to the next scene, or like, what's going on?
I'm going to. I was just leaving it for a minute. See if anyone was going to do anything. If anyone wanted to kill the Fae and interrogate the Fae. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick it up and smuggle it under my shirt out of here. Anyone want that?
Wait. You're just gonna have this Fae bulge sticking out of your shirt? Aren't you supposed to be supernal?
Yep.
Just checking.
Yeah,
I will
he's
go
largely
ahead
supernal,
and-
so when someone goes, "What's that?" he goes, "Oh, that's the crown jewels of Kaldor. Are you supposed to have that?" Yes, they're mine. All right, seems legit.
When you put it like that.
What a sincere man.
I guess I should make an uproar about this wholly dangerous chair rock and get people distracted for you, rest of you.
At this point, there's no difficulty in moving about the castle. You've effectively gained the king's trust in what you've been doing. With Wyatt's help, things are going to be settled down pretty quickly. So you don't have much to worry about. You don't need to go slinking around and stuff like that. If you want to hide Silicon Kitsune, that's fine. Just saying, you're not going to have much difficulty moving about, talking to who you want to talk to, and doing what you want to do. Just to allay any fears there.
So in that case, I'm going to start the procession, which is asking Kalis to lift up the chair with the rock on it that's tied to it. Use the ink from before and write on it, in ask Thrashusta and Denova, like what's the old realm the symbols here. We need to write killing stone, and so write that out, and then at the bottom do not touch, will kill you.
Well, Arthur starts to sort of ponders for a second. Well, it sort of depends more on context because it's a symbol-based language. So do you mean the stone is a thing that you use to kill a person? Does the stone inherently bear the property of killing? Both of them would have different characters that would be used in the composition. Do you agree, De Novo?
That is a much more apt description than I would have given. So, yes, I completely agree.
Okay. We have this written out. We're going to tell a story at dinner if need be. There you go. We've managed to pull the evil spirit. The anathema has been dealt with, and this is the remains of it after it has been cut out and officially exorcised. So there we go. This can go in the royal chambers as a nice set piece for anyone to ask. And again, do not touch. All right, let's go. As he sticks his hand out for the kitsune to just kind of move it up and under his own clothing. And off we go. I don't have any plans, so
I'm going to whisper to Talia, is it me or is Hans acting strange?
Wait, who are you whispering to?
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed, and I'm kind of bothered by it.
Me too.
Now is not the time to talk about it. Once we get past this, I think you and I, we need to sit down and have a chat. But good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who is noticing it.
Yes. I'm a little bit concerned. Onwards and upwards, I guess, friends.
Yeah.
And maybe we can drop by on the festivities if we have time. Or not. I get the message. Get the message. Loud and clear. No bees for Kalis.
Well, you don't really want the bees, you want the honey.
You're right.
Right, well, it sounds like the plan was I'd actually spoken to the prince previously when he had started to cry because, well, tried not to cry and then did cry because he was sad that he'd kind of resigned himself to being killed by the spell. And we're like, no, like absolutely the exact opposite. We are not going to do that. We'll use it for this awesome spell instead. So you are actually responsible for saving all of these people once these awesome sorcerers get it out. So I have asked him to stop studying. I remember this conversation with Arthur Shasta, who's like, like, don't interrupt his studies, Sagacious Hand. Like, how could you be so rude? It's like, because my best friend's just kind of come back not having eaten for 3 days because I let him just stay in the underworld. So bad idea. So I have asked for the prince to sneak out tonight rather than going to sleep with the rest of his everyone who's in the castle. So hopefully we can have another night of talking to Phoebus on the parapets now that everyone's back here.
Cool.
Faye, as you're leaving, Arthur Shasta is just going to kind of catch up with Hand and be like, when you tell your story later about the Killing Stone, I would appreciate if you kept me out of it. Not that I am questioning your capabilities to spin a good yarn. It's more that Yunin will see through it effortlessly, and I do not wish to do anything else in his perception that will make him think less of me. Since you look up to no one, I don't know how to best explain it, but imagine if you met your own ego and you disappointed them. That's how that interaction went.
Sagacious Hand, like, turns and just looks at him and is like, don't you think it's a bit odd that someone that you look up to, someone that you're very excited with, has just come down, witnessed that entire spell, gave us a clap, so awesome us, he was genuinely entertained, or at least was not bored by an anathema being pulled out of a human form. But what sort of person, like, knowing who you are, I can only assume that this is, as you said, a role model, which means he's incredibly smarter than you. Why is he here? You didn't seem to...
Why are any of us here? Because creation wants us to be. It has a time and a purpose for all of us. Whether it is obvious to or not doesn't matter.
There's an old saying, and I used to think it was fish of the day. It's not actually fish of the day. It's translated from Old Tongue, and it is a sentiment in which moments are fleeting. You do not know how long you will be in this world, nor those you care about. So if this is the bigger fish than you, go seize it.
Yes, I have an idea on how to do that.
Okay.
I may end up potentially one-upping you as the entertainment of the evening.
Oh, game on, buddy. Game on. All right, in which case, the unnamed Sohai will be responsible for having stayed the hand of the evil spirit that once corrupted Emperor Numu, and I'll just need a few more names. Give me 5 minutes. I'm out of practice. Let's go. as he's walking up the hallway, just screams out, Toba! Toba, that was his name. Thank you. So the story I'm going to spin is that everything that we have done, I'm starting this as a project through whispers and that we have all done it at the behest of Jonas, as in the king of Tiburana, that the stunt that was done upstairs was to lure out this anathema that King Jonas, in his mighty wisdom, has been tracking since the horrors that had happened to his own kingdom, and like everything we have done, praise be to the Dragonbloods. Good thing that he is so awesome, having pre-planned out all this stuff, and this is an evil spirit that has gone from prince to prince, causing finding only the most awesome people to possess. So it's okay that James Carson was possessed, it clearly means he's awesome. Only the most awesome people got possessed by this anathema, but the brave Sohai warrior has spoken to this evil spirit, has diagnosed that everyone's poor health, even of maybe this castle itself, has been because of this evil spirit. And so he's managed to pull it out of Carson and cast it into the rock. And so this rock contains the spirit of this killing intent, and which is why there is warnings to do not touch the rock. So the spirit of death is embedded into the stone. And this is why it must be locked away, because the stone is, the Sohai has said that the stone will continue to release poisonous gas, that it is the evil intent. FYI, this is actually based off an old story, an actual Japanese mythology. I'll pick up the reins.
Well, no, your plan to make the Silken Kitsune the scapegoat for this whole mess.
Is Ambassador Lotus with us?
Why not? Yes.
Sorry, you sounded very fatigued by that. It's I mean I can pick up later of it, but
No, I just meant. Wait, you know how I said earlier about my mental space? Yeah, just ignore my tone and just listen to what I literally say.
Okay. In which case, Kalis will, because he's got the chair, I assume I'm in the back of the procession because this is the most dangerous thing, it needs a vanguard. I will, say to her, Theme, was that the correct use of capitalizing? You were discussing about taking advantage of situations. He looks very smug with himself.
I'm sorry, what?
When I said about capitalizing on the situation, there are folk that we've saved. We could be advantageous to number tides, right? Knowing that very important people owe their freedom to us.
Perhaps if things go as we want them to. Union's arrival is not exactly fortuitous.
You know of this person?
By reputation only.
Please, I feel like I would benefit from this wisdom.
I don't know if it's wisdom. Essentially, he fronts up a organization purportedly for the betterment of the entirety of creation in some way, shape, or form that is largely numinous and unknowable. And, if they're here, it means that they have a stake in what's going on here, and they have a lot more resources to bandy about than anyone else here does. So, if they're here, perhaps they're making an offering of some kind. I don't know what that is. I don't even know why they would. I don't know why this area would interest them in the slightest.
This definitely sounds like one of those politic problems.
Yes.
Gillis nods to himself. He's getting good at this. He's learning. And apparently we're not meant to touch this stone.
Yes, no, thank you, Kalis. I understood that one.
I'm not completely sure, but I'm just going with it. It seemed like the chieftain really wanted to push this idea, and I'm not one to stand in the way.
Yeah, it's just don't hurt yourself, dear. So, are you guys going somewhere in particular? Are you wanting to talk to someone in particular, or like?
It sounded like we wanted to talk to the king, and then Phoebus at night. Other than that, I was very unclear as what the plan was.
I just would like to know regarding the diplomat from Krivia, like all those people upstairs that are now sans the thing, just to see what's going on with them. Are they okay? Yeah, what's happened to the diplomat from Krivia? Anyone else? Like just to speed this up, because it sounds like we're flailing around a little bit. I have nothing except making sure, like, the intention was to clear my name from having killed the diplomat from Krivia. It's like, ta-da! She's perfectly fine somewhere. Maybe Torala could use her wind-carried words to be able to say, wherever you are, make yourself known. Are you okay?
I just out of character, I had completely forgotten all about that little. So you can't bear with me. It's been several weeks.
That's right. Quick question, Kel, character. Do we have an hour left or 2 hours left?
2 hours left.
2 hours left. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'd actually really like to speak to the king. Kalis has had an idea, so
But yeah, I will definitely have Terrell actually do that, because again, I had completely forgotten about the missing it wasn't Noble, was it? It was the what you call it,
the diplomat from
handmaid,
whose name is Lorelei.
Lorelei, yeah. So I will send a wind carried words to Lorelei that so what we're saying is that it's okay to make herself known.
Yes.
Yeah, because well, I'm trying to remember what it was about her, because it's been a while.
Don't forget to mention the dog.
You sent a wind carried words when we were like, to inspire her with hope. That
right. Because yeah, that's right. We thought that she was kidnapped. So
yeah, so now would be a time if you want to send something to be like, fear not. Yeah. I, Torala, your most awesome of awesome, have saved thee. However you wish to spin it. You're the one in control.
What was that? What was that, Pluggy?
Wasn't there also like a code word or a reference to an event that their handmaidens mentioned a dog? I want to say.
That's right.
Which was the safe word that she'd know it's from friends, so don't forget to mention the dog. That's what Kalis said.
I don't remember.
Do you remember the safe words?
I do not remember the safe word. I do not remember if it was better.
The safe word was the dog.
The dog.
The dog. Yeah.
Remember, folks, always remember your safe words.
This has been Kalis.
That is the takeaway.
That is the entire moral of this plot. Remember your safe words.
Oh, if that is, I'm going to be slightly bemused and scared at the same time if this is where this tale's heading.
Okay, so yeah, she is going to send a message with the dog, mentioning the dog, and basically saying we have taken care of what's the word I'm looking for? Assailant? Is that the word? Assailant or kidnapper? Kidnapper, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
Assailant. Because
assailant.
yeah, she's a full-grown woman who likes to.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's a full-grown and capable woman.
Mm.
So we have taken care of the kidnapper. If there's any way you can make yourself known, do so.
When you get up into the upper echelons of the castle, you find that the whole place is abuzz with a bit of activity. The binding of Silicon Kitsune has, as you expected, freed most of the people who were under its influence. Leaving the diplomat from what was it? 1 second, I've got it right here.
The diplomat from He Poisoned Himself Town?
No, Hadal.
Ah.
Eden, all of his advisors were possessed. All of the like the girls dancing around him and feeding him stuff. Yeah, they were all possessed by something. So, there's a bit of a raucous as they start. The king has had to sort of try to isolate them and not really arrest them, but because all of a sudden they've got like 7 different people saying that they are actually someone completely different to who they originally presented themselves as. This is quite the security risk, so to speak. So they've had to be isolated. Hin has been isolated as well, and while that matter gets sorted out, so effectively Hadal is out of the running, so to speak. Lorelei has revealed herself and has been able to prove who she is, but is showing absolutely no signs, or is basically saying, I want to go home. I do not want to be involved in this whatsoever. I'm out of here. So she's currently packing up with her handmaidens to go. But the king is still detaining her until they can figure out exactly what has happened, just to make sure that she hasn't, stolen some state secrets or something and is trying to run off with them. But he can't hold her for long, maybe a day or 2 at most, before he has to release.
I mean, frankly, at this point, I don't blame her.
Yeah,
It sounds like a sensible reaction to.
Sounds like she's the most normal here, right? Just like, can you take me with you? No, joking.
This of course, for those politically minded, leaves Soren Medish and Miserly Weathered Page as. Aside from Righteous Lotus, of course, as sort of the most prominent people interested. Wow, that's a lot of noise. Who's that coming from? Well, it just stopped, so it doesn't matter anymore. The most prominent people moving forwards into this talk, except that now you have apparently an extra party who's come, being Unum.
Okay, so we have old woman, person who tried to poison himself, and old man.
Person who successfully poisoned himself, I might add.
He's not a trier, he's a doer.
I like a man of action.
I mean, like the Kingdom of Strom still has their people here, but they're afraid of you. So don't worry about that. Gowron.
Oh yeah, I remember them. Forgive the intrusion, Your Majesty. We come bearing good and cautionary news.
When you go to speak to the king, he Carson.
Mason?
Mason, sorry.
Oh,
Mason. No, you're right. Mason lets you in. But you, in his, because he's not in his like war room place, he's one of his library study areas. He lets you in, and he's sort of going over this immense document that he's handed by a woman. Help me here, Vay. What does she look like? You know who I'm talking about, I hope.
Do you want to send me a link? Is this are you trying to make up someone, or are you trying to describe
describe someone that we talked about?
Yeah, there is a woman with dark brown hair that is frizzing about as if there's been no actual attention to try and keep it down. Part of the reason why is there is a permanent mist around her, and you see two shimmering catfish floating around in the mist that her body is giving out. Her skin is like mottled, as if someone had gotten gold and sprinkled it upon her like freckles, and the shimmering mist that is about her forming that iridescent rainbow as the light lifts off and around it. She is clearly supernatural. Is that helpful?
Yes, it is. Case in to specify, the golden flecks on her body seem to move as she does, and when she doesn't move, they seem to settle. You know those, like, not lava lamp, but those things that you shake and then the shit goes everywhere.
Snow globe.
Yeah, snow globe-ish sort of thing. That's sort of what these golden flecks are like on her body. They move about as she moves, and they settle when she stops moving. She's not sort of next to the king, but you can tell that this document is something that she has delivered. And
How fast are these fish moving?
they are keeping up with her as she moves.
Would you say they're stationary at present then?
Sure.
So what would be the difficulty for a thrown attack against that fish?
We need to defeat their DV, which is 2.
No, I don't have thrown. Does anyone have a high thrown skill, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
Why are you attacking the fish?
Largely because it occurs to me, I'm not sure our characters have eaten for a while, and for some reason I just immediately went to sashimi.
I fed you all sorts of things, and you got very upset when I stopped you drinking wine.
Yeah,
You have eaten, sir. You have.
You've had to
Yeah,
allow.
Rob made everybody stew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like it was 5 success stew.
yeah. I've still got it with me. I've been eating it. It's great.
5 successes on 4 dice.
Instead of assaulting this new character, I would like Elk, if I could.
I'm allowed to do things too, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I didn't.
The action.
I thought you were cancelling that idea. Sorry, Avis.
No, I'm joking. I might do a diatribe once we figure out what this thing is. But actually, can I do a quick occult roll, Elk, to see if I can determine her nature?
She's a dragon body.
Oh, drat. Never mind.
Could I
Go for it.
Oh, sorry, just get your stand. while Sagacious Hand is doing their thing, I am going to play in the background a musical piece composed about a river full of carps that every erratic moment spreads clouds of gold deposits, creating a cascade of beauty, mysteriousness, and disarray. As a tribute to this new super entity, which I don't know is Dragon Blood. I think it's a spirit, so I'm going to do this song as like an offering to it, if I may.
If you like.
I sure do.
My intention is to step forward and give the polite head nod, skippity bow in greeting towards the person we don't know.
So as everyone's entered the room, you've caught her attention. She looks up from what she was doing. She doesn't so much look at you as she looks through you at the stuff that you're carrying. And you can see her eyes immediately ping off any artifacts that you are currently carrying. You can tell that she has instantly noticed them and identified the moment you walked into them. Caught her attention. Her eyes rest the longest on Pelor.
What a rude young woman. Does she look young?
30s, I think.
That's vague.
But that could mean anything. She's Dragon Blood. So, like, she could be a bazillion years old and you wouldn't know.
Drat. Can't call her out on it.
Apologies, Your Majesty. We weren't aware that you were still in conversation with someone. And as he does that, Sagacious Hand, Emperor of Illusion, illustrious escape, blah blah blah, of the ebullient Excelsior, and the hand down as a piece of paper rolls its way down his hand to then slip it in, out, and then give her an origami rose into her hand. I'd like to do an instill action for, I guess, instill or inspire for good first impression.
So inspire would give her a temporary feeling about it, and instill would give her a permanent.
I'm going to say instill for a positive intimacy of wonder towards the Sagacious Hand and the ebullient Excelsior.
Cool.
Uh, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes.
I got 10 successes on my musical introduction, I guess, for your information. And I spent charms, say 3 motes, using perfect harmony, technique.
Ooh.
It's a bit loud.
Masterful performance exercise, and 2 motes reduced to 1 for my harmonious presence.
Ooh, all from personal pool?
Yeah, personal.
So she takes the introductions quite well. She seems flattered, at least. Takes the origami flower and playfully sniffs at it and tucks it into, not exactly a lapel, but sort of the front of her. No, actually tucks it behind her ear. So it's sort of just sitting out, splayed up against her hair. And she actually speaks for the king, sort of, and says, "No matter, our conversation is not private. Majesty, that is our offer, and there will be no negotiations. You can take it or leave it." Marcus seems to consider it for a moment, and then you can tell he's about to ask for more time. And she sort of cuts in over the top of him. Says, yes, you can have as much time to think it over as you like. But as I said, there will be no negotiations. Either you accept that offer or you don't. It's entirely up to you. Arthur Shuster.
Mm-hmm.
Johan. Is Johan prone to just start yapping away at anything that he finds interesting, or is he a bit more trained than that?
Oh, he's definitely a well-trained dog.
Okay, so you can
He'll probably be trained in a way to draw attention in a way that Arthur Shasta would understand, but not other people.
You get that strong sensation through your link that he can detect that she's carrying something of import, something that he is specifically interested in eating.
Ooh. Does she give off any weird vibes to Arthur Shasta?
Does Arthur Shasta have a weird vibe feeling thing?
Watchman's infallible eye?
Oh, would it proc at this point?
I mean, she can't just be weird without being, like, criminally dubious.
Okay, so no, your hackles are not raised. Your solar sensors are not in fact tingling. But Johan is saying she's very clearly carrying something of interest.
Okay. I'm going to file that away for later. So I feel if I'm too presumptuous and say something wrong, Yonin will somehow find out and think less of me.
Later at dinner, you didn't question my apprentice.
You know, part of me's like, is that Yunin? Johan? Oh, I see the connection.
Just for the listeners, Yunin is an element that I have introduced without actually running it by Culture Shock. I've just sort of inserted him into his history. So if he's a little unsure of how to act, then you know why.
Honestly, I'm just starstruck.
You're portraying that very well, I must say, Culture Shock and Arthur Shasta. It's thoroughly enjoying that, like, new dynamic. And also worrying about how one of our members of our party's been compromised by this. How will it go on, folks? Intriguing.
I actually don't know what to say to the king, so if you guys want to run your thing, I don't know what other than we did it! Woo!
Wait, have we told the king about the duel yet? Or I can't remember if we told him that already.
Good question. I don't know either. That's like, have we decided on a roster? Yeah, for the fight?
Yes, we did tell the king about the duel because we told Lord Wyatt.
But has Wyatt had time to speak with the king?
Presumably, yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Didn't he get all excited about the prospect of fighting and reinvigorate himself? I vaguely remember that, but I'm not sure which timeline it was in.
That wasn't in an alternate timeline. That was before you went to speak to the dragon-blooded peoples. You went to the king to warn him, and then he sort of got interested in the idea of martial battle and had that he could actually be useful, right? Because he's sort of like, he doesn't like being king, kind of.
Which is one of the reasons why I've been considering him, despite everybody saying he's a squishy mortal, bringing him into the fold in the actual fights.
Yeah. The last discussion we had was about, is there a way that we can give him the exigence now? Can we find a way for Phoebus to exist either simultaneously with Marcus, or a way for him to be safely taken out that isn't just getting rid of him? And it was said by the sorcerers that it was something that would take a period of time. So would we like to discuss with the king? Do you want to stay
It's not
for
time efficient.
a while? Like, do we have anywhere that we need to go? Could we just stay and over the next couple of months, weeks, I don't know how long it would take, to safely disconnect Phoebus and Marcus? Is that something that
Maybe
we
a few months. Well, we won't do it in months.
I keep forgetting nobody can see me doing the Moosehead thing. I was gonna say it would be amusing if this fight happens, he's mortal, and then all of a sudden, hey, he becomes a solar.
That'd be
And that's
hilarious.
us. We then are just like, well, now what do we do with this exigence?
Well, in that
Black
case,
market.
we just black market. In that case, we'll have a lot of capital. Wow, that's actually a pretty solid reason to bring him into the fight as immortal.
High risk, high reward. He could die.
I mean, I seriously don't think I'm not doing that because the idea that he'll become a solar. It's because out of character, it's just playing the numbers game. It's we win either way thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of defensive charms. Remember the tanking for other
Well,
charms.
not that. If we beat them, great, they're done. If Marcus somehow dies during this, great, they're
We're
done.
happy. Yeah.
It's a can't lose scenario.
It's true. If Marcus is
A
that famous,
sucky can't lose scenario. A sucky can't lose scenario that don't want to like would never consider that in real life, but I'm thinking about this from a tactics side of things.
So,
the way I see it, it makes a lot of sense.
so the woman approaches De Novo and holds out her hand, and introduces herself. She says, "Envelada Proxus. Nice to meet your acquaintance. You would be the unnamed Sohai?"
I'm quite named. De Novo. It is a pleasure. Wait,
Sorry, I'm buffering. Sorry.
sorry, I got confused there. I was like, oh crap, I left the mute on.
Did you take her hand?
Did I take her hand? Actually, no. Since given the way the American philosophy is structured, and I'm playing to that part, I guess he'll instead bow. Deferentially, I'm mad at.
I'm curious. And she sort of just gestures to the group. Is this supposed to be a covert operation?
Far from. I merely wander, and this is a good company to wander with, along with my charge. And he nods to Afrashasta.
Ah, yes, the exigent. And she actually gives you the 2-finger ticky things.
Quotation marks? Air quotes?
Yes, air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys don't know. Yes, sorry. I refer to them as ticky
In-joke.
I was confused there for a second. I'm like, what
Yeah.
symbol is this? I'm not familiar with.
I thought people would, so sorry, Elk, for presuming to clarify for the audience.
That was good. That was good. I completely spaced that was an in-joke. It's not even a joke. It's just terminology I picked up off my English teacher because she was hilarious and great.
So she goes, the air quote exigent.
Yeah, the air quote exigent.
De Novo smiles politely, unperturbed at the words, and nods and says again, "Yes, not to babble, but that is indeed an exigent." And he for emphasis uses the air quote. He uses the air quotes again, but this time adopts for lack of a better word, an older perspective, like the way an older gentleman might humor someone they perceive as young. Like objectively, she's probably older than him, but might as well play the part.
Actually, probably not, but that's beside the point. And your standing? Please, I'm very curious to.
A wandering Sohei. I'm afraid my rank is nothing so august. Merely a wanderer. Or exorcist. Yeah, probably closer towards the latter. It's complicated.
Did you carry that around with you?
Correct. He taps on the bells for the 3 times normally used to summon Shiroi and manifest her, but doesn't materialize her. He's just curious if her eyes, if she gives any sign that she recognizes the spirit manifested.
If she does, you don't notice it.
All right. And should I roll perception or?
You can if you like.
Sure, why not? He'll focus on her eyes and the fish as well, because he has no idea what part those play. And that is perception plus social, right?
Yep.
All right. With my massive pool of 3 dice, let me roll that. Where's our dice rolling thingamajigger? One sec. 2 motes, because why not? And I've succeeded twice. I got nothing, I think.
Sorry, I was just double checking something. Again, as if she has noticed, and this isn't to say that she has and you don't notice. I'm saying if she has noticed, you don't notice. Don't notice it.
All right, then continuing the sentence. Yes, this was also placed in my keeping. If you prove yourself hard enough to kill, even a humble mortal can be entrusted with some responsibility. He punctuates the last with an old smile. And also, he taps on his skin because since he still has the invulnerable bronze skin activated, it's to highlight the fact that he is a sorcerer.
And you're happy to take on such a burden that the betrayer's blade would lay upon you.
The noble smile turns into a frown, and he inclines his head slowly and says, "I do not presume to put judgment on my wards. That is for the dragons and for those ranked higher than myself in the faith."
Oh yes, of course. So I am placing judgment, and I am telling you that it is betrayer's blade, and not worthy of your protection. Would you put it down?
Are you of looks shy?
Do I need to be?
In this regard, well, I appreciate the puissance of the dragons. In this is a theological matter, and when I refer to my superiors, I do very clearly mean to the more enlightened of the look shy and dragon-blooded. And I was sworn to this task, which is an oath, as any child of Denad should well understand, is not something so cavalierly questioned.
No, you raise a good point. Look shy, you say, and who ordered you?
The noble. Okay, since I didn't actually think of the name of his superiors, and the noble actually was a fairly high ranked, so high, can I just make up a name?
Oh, why not?
And,
Wait, sorry, is De Novo making up a name, or are you making up a name?
No, I'm making up a name. Not for his superior, for his last active superior.
Okay. The one who thinks you're dead.
Yes, probably if they're not themselves dead. Hey, you know what they say? Refuge and audacity. Let's just say. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and say Amilar Oronokov.
Oronoko. Well, I might have to contact a different friend.
Well, he is among the more highly ranked of the sorcerer exorcists. Although I would say that sometimes he takes it upon himself to sometimes over-promote some of us. But nevertheless, I was given the task, and I will not shame my superior by so cavalierly discussing it. Not that I mean any offense to the ones who is sent as yourself, of course.
Well, we shall see. Are you around for dinner?
Well, of course, I cannot indulge as much as others. I will be present, indeed.
Yes, of course. And your friends?
Well, I could hardly deny the presence of this sagacious hand. And my charge goes where I go. And the rest of and I am not one to tell the rest of our companions what to do. That would be presumptuous.
But quite presumptuous. So why don't you take this opportunity to turn to them, guard them, and ask?
Well, I am sure they do not need my permission to speak. Moose here, since there's no camera, anytime someone wants to jump in here.
Nah, man, keep digging your hole. I think I'm the other side of creation.
Arthur Shasta dryly mutters, "Yes, as the exigence of dog, I have been vocalized and must ask."
Kalis is leaning on the desk chair between them, like looks. Tario's like, the conversations usually this awkward when dinner invitations are passed. I thought it was a good thing.
And also, it's rather odd that she's the one giving us an invitation. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna dig my hole a little deeper. The noble will turn his head to regard Alexander Marcus and bow his head. Your Majesty, if you would not mind the words of an old priest, is it not custom in this kingdom for the host to extend invitations and to introduce new arrivals?
Oh my god. How do I respond to this?
The way I figured out,
just
at
to be
least
clear,
have some
just to be
rapport with
clear,
the king.
she's not like inventing a dinner and inviting you to it. She's asking you if you are going to be going to the dinner that is already happening.
Okay, then amend the first part of the statement. Then he's just asking for the king to provide an introduction to the very curious, almost Mela-like young lady.
What?
Oh, I'm going because air aspects are usually. He's basically doing a dig on her not behaving as a proper water aspect.
Not behaving like water aspects the nod.
Yeah, that's why I said almost Mela-like, because over intrusive curiosity is more of an air aspect thing.
If you wanted to be if you wanted to be insulting, you'd probably do like the antithesis.
Yeah, that's why she's a water. She looks like a water aspect, so he's calling her an air. So he's comparing her to an air aspect as a dick.
Sorry, when I said what, I meant like, what is it you're actually asking the king?
Oh, I'm asking the king for the identity of like her rank, or as in a formal introduction.
He's still half distracted by the document that he's been handed because he's trying to sort of get through it all. And he sort of half-heartedly says, you know, "Oh yes, sorry, excuse me. This is Unfalata Proxus of the Corona of Resplendent Essence. They are here on my request."
That would be the followers of your what's the term? Idol, Afrashasta?
He's a muse.
Yes, idol. That was the word. Yes. My charge is quite familiar with your leader. Something of a fan.
Right. So, are you going to the dinner tonight, or are you not going to the dinner tonight, or are you perhaps just going
We will be in attendance.
Ah, thank you. I will see you there then.
Youth are so impatient nowadays.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Goodbye.
Cadus will give an apologetic look and a confused look, and just look like he doesn't know whether he should be in this conversation. What's going on? It's like I'm just carrying this poor chair. No, kind of.
You know that? Has everyone watched Fifth Element?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a great movie.
So when I say Ruby Roo hand motion, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she gives you, Kalis, if you try to give her an apologetic look. She's like, nope, not interested. Goodbye, I'm leaving.
Wait, has she left the room at this point?
Unless someone wants to physically arrest her, then yes, she will be leaving.
Okay, the noble's gonna turn to Hand and nod. You may have that one. No amount of corruption is worse than what's already there.
I think I should just gonna just burst out laughing and be like, "All right, cool. What is going on? Sure. Let's go to the party tonight, and it will be awesome. Thank you very much. Finally, we get to actually sit down with these people rather than, you know, handling everything. Your Majesty," and he just does bows like, "With your permission, I'm going to take a seat and let everyone else explain the gloriousness that has been this several couple of days."
On the related note, Hand, I seem to be run out of the special chocolates. I think we should probably have them for the dinner.
Absolutely. Look, I've already got Mason bringing up some of those pineapples, so we are gonna be golden.
I give Hand a look. Does he know which chocolates I'm referring to?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
Would Your Majesty, seeing that he is quite distracted, would you mind if I had a look over the documents while you spoke to my more learned companions? I'll try and fix out the babble of the bureaucracy babble. Just tell you the basis of it, if you want.
If you feel so inclined, I mean, pass it over. I find it fairly straightforward myself.
Okay, I'm going to move to the corner, and having no fucking clue, flicking through the pages, what any of it actually says, ask for some assistance from my shoulder, from my shadow. Is this a good deal, a bad deal? What is it?
You will need to roll.
Okay. Do you want me to roll for him, or you roll?
You can roll for him, please.
So, as Babe's rolling that, I was like, just about to go, wait a minute. Sagacious Hand doesn't have any organization skills, like that sort of skills. Is this the other hand? And then it's like, oh, okay, it's not. It's like,
Yes, he does. You have witnessed him use a bureaucracy charm once.
have I?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
First conversation with the king. Sagacious Hand very clumsily rolled into the room and then used the bureaucracy charm.
I mean, I don't disbelieve you, I just don't remember it.
No, and it was very clearly Sagacious Hand. It wasn't the other hand.
8 successes.
All right. So, what do people want to be doing while Hand is reviewing these documents?
Yeah, Arthur Justice is just gonna ask the king the nature of the deal that he's signing with that woman.
De Novo is going to ask after where in the castle the what's the name of the organization?
The Corona of Resplendent Essence.
Where the Corona of Resplendent Essence is being housed.
And for what Kalis will, like, when it's his turn, he would explain to His Highness what's been happening with the possession and why there may be people waking up confused. You know, I feel like he probably would like some context on what's going on in his kingdom, and I feel that'd be useful. So I'll tell him, that bit, and I'll tell him about the killing stone chair, but I'm not very good at lying, so probably, and why it's there, so I assume he's going to get the actual truth as well. But yeah, that's what Kalis will do.
Okay, so essentially, the king explains that prior to your arrival, he had reached out to the Corona as a, because they're a group of learned scholars who know about geomancy and essence and shit, and basically asked for their help. And all he really got in reply initially was a letter penned by probably an assistant to Eunan, explaining that Eunan believed that his kingdom was essentially a lost cause, and that but sort of kind of half explaining what, when you guys came in and said this, it definitely looks like this place is falling into a Shadowlands, like that echoed what Eunan had written to him, but Eunan hadn't offered any solutions to the problem, so to speak, and sort of half-heartedly said that it's not a big deal. Your kingdom will, irrevocably changed by this, but you're just going to have to learn to deal with that. Not really worth my time. And then, so he wasn't really counting on the Corona ever sort of turning up. But after, he received a missive yesterday saying that they were going to be arriving. And then, lo and behold, Eunan himself turns up with his apprentice, no less, to ask him about what has been going on with the kingdom. And as far as he could gather, Eunan had created a prediction model based on what he believed was going to happen in Kaldor, and then it didn't happen. So his curiosity was piqued, and so he's come down to have a look at it himself. And while they were here, they seem to have changed their minds about how they were going to interact with the kingdom. And because the king never really rescinded his offer to sort of invite them into this whole summit organization debate thing, they've given him an offer. Now, it's not a case of, it is part of the negotiations, essentially, and he's been given permission to wait until the negotiations are over before he decides whether he's going to accept it or not. But as Enfilade very explicitly said, it's a take it or leave it kind of offer. There will be no negotiation. If someone gives you a better offer, then just take it. We don't really care.
And where are they quartered?
There's a guest room.
The
in the
West
castle.
Wing.
The West Wing, because that's funny. As to the revelation of Zuka Katsuni and all of that, I wish I had a speech pre-written for this, but I'm finding it hard to sort of characterize Marcus in a way that really gets him across in the way that I want him to, and every time I try to speak as Marcus, like, he just sounds like an enormous asshole. So I'll just say that he's very grateful for everything that you've done. He's very apologetic to Sagacious Hand over all of that nasty business, so to speak, and looks forward to sort of moving on and being able to leave it behind. But this new offer that he's been given is game changing as far as he's concerned. And after the amount of time that it takes to have this enormous light discussion, Shadow says without doubt to Hand that essentially what Core are offering is exactly what Lambert Heights are offering. Like, they get to retain all this autonomy and all that sort of stuff. The only thing that they're asking for is to build upon the structural infrastructure of Kaldor as it is, and sort of be able to guide the architectural design of the city now that it's a hub of essence convergence, so that they can properly cultivate it in the way that they feel would be beneficial to the region if they're going to be investing this ridiculous sum of resources into this.
Sagacious Hand says as much, passing the document back to the king. So it sounds perfectly fair, considering a lot of people are now not feeling too good because of the just kind of hand waving, because of the general ghosts and Fae and just the awful thing that's been going on. What is it now? There's Krivia wants to leave. They're being investigated. Just lists off all the people who are being investigated. It's like, this sounds like a perfectly fair deal. From what I know of Lambert Heights, I'm not really and he just hands up in the air, like, I'm not really involved in this, the making of deals between kingdoms, but sounds fair. Sounds about as fair as Lambert Heights was going to be. We could either make friends with them and team up, or just let them have it. It seems like most of the calamities are past, other than the having to deal with the final duel.
I look to Ambassador Lotus. How does she regard what Hans just said? That sounded a lot like De Novo. That's creepy.
It would be unwise of me to make open comment in front of the king about my feelings.
Okay, that's not knowingly.
Well, then, if no one objects, I would like to go have a pointy debate regarding the finer points of this deal.
Why?
Let us just say I have been... What is the word? I'm horrible with language. Let us say irked. Yes, I have been irked. Some levels of impiety are improper.
All right. Well, Your Majesty, as we had discussed before, there is something that we wanted to discuss regarding the exigence of Formica. As we mentioned previously, we've been trying to find a way in which to follow through with her wishes for you to have such blessing, but currently we are unable to do so. He gestures to Arthashasta and De Novo, perhaps even talking with the members of the Corona of Resplendent Essence. Maybe they'd be able to help in this particular matter to speed things along. Either way, we would like to very humbly ask for your permission to stay for a little bit longer than originally intended, just to ensure that all matters within the kingdom are that there is safety and prosperity.
It's a good thing you're asking for. I was going to ask you the same thing, if you could hang around a bit longer to draw the crowds back once this matter is settled.
Speaking of
Sorry.
settling,
What did you say? Something the crowd's back?
Bring the crowds back.
Bring? Absolutely.
I.e., that with the Excelsior here, like, there's a reason for people to come here.
Is this a good time to talk to you about the future of Caldor? Kid sort of scratches his head a little bit. Clearly not experienced enough to know whether this is the right time to bring it up, but really wants to.
What do you mean? Sorry?
Well, I don't know if we mentioned our conversation with the ghosts that have been roaming the land.
Yes, we were preparing for battle, and I was advised by Wyatt that you had come to some accord with Julian in the outskirts of the battlefield.
I am quite confident we will prevail, and if so, then it comes the task of aiding the spirits on moving on. But there is the matter of the debt they owe to Caldor, and one of the ways I was going to suggest they pay it back is offering their services as a form of protection to Caldor. I wish to have a discussion of how we envision that going, and how the people would regard them, whether I should perhaps relay some of my own people's stories and traditions regarding the Guardian Protector dead. This could be a good thing for Caldor in its period of change.
You're suggesting getting around troops to defend our borders?
No, they are no longer. My understanding is that once passed on for the Veil, they are no longer under the auspicious care of the Dragon Blood, and now free to move on to the next cycle of being. So I do not believe they can follow Dragon Blooded past death. What we have here is, unfortunately, misled souls that need shepherding and proper closure before they can move on to the next state of being, huh?
It would be my suggestion that they move on and don't tarry.
So you would be object to them making amends for their poor choices.
Let them seek absolution. If they will find none here.
That is disappointing. But I respect that decision.
Oh. Was there anything else we needed to cover?
I think we're good. Are we?
Oh, this chair contains the killing stone, which if you touch, you die. So we have to find appropriate place to put such a dangerous wonder. Is that how you phrase it, Hand? You probably say it in yes.
Yeah, we'll swing by. We'll pop it in the treasury. and start spreading some stories about how there is a magical rock within the king's treasury. It could even be a something for people to walk by and gape at. Might bring in more crowds. Who knows? It just generally starts waffling on. But Your Majesty, thank you very much. We'll see you tonight. And
I'm looking.
just kind of looks the other like, yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Alright.
dinner.
Good. So we're settled. And he takes the documents back from Sagacious' hand and just idly mentions how he'll have to run it by his council, and again that he appreciates everything you've done, and Kaldor will not forget your contributions to its salvation.
Your Majesty, for what my advice is worth, if I was in your position, I believe that is the deal that I would take.
We shall see about that.
I don't disagree, but I'm not the one making this decision right now. Thank you.
But I would also keep in mind that you would not be a charity case, you would not be a thing for them to exploit. You would be a thing that they are researching.
I feel like that is worse in some respects.
Arthur Chaucer just kind of shrugs. He's like, I would have no ethical qualms about it, but you all definitely seemed quite perturbed when I suggested doing the very same thing about this place slide into being a Shadowland earlier. This is why I mentioned this.
I suggest we discuss the finer points with His Grace's permission with the... what was that name again? Elk, Musir's? I legitimately forgot it again.
The Corona of Resplendent.
Yes. The air quotes, Corona of Sublime. Just for the sake of ensuring their intention, Your Grace.
Don't scare them off.
And I would
Okay,
imagine...
Musirs. I thought I built up a little bit of rapport with that guy. Okay,
That's
Musirs,
that's a general concern. It's like if this deal is as good as okay, never mind. Go on.
All right. So we, having spoken to the king, made plans to go to dinner. Sounds like we are ready to leave. Regarding the duel, were you including him in the duel or not?
I was actually going to kind of wait for others to kind of leave out of the room before I brought it up with them. Like, try to take give me just one moment, everyone. And she asks the king if she might have a word. Just in private.
As we leave, Arthur Shasta's like totally nerding out, explaining like, no, he's probably not going to change the phrases in the contract, not because he's a hard negotiator, because I'm sure the syntax of all the specific clauses and conditions has a metaphysical importance that will lay a specific binding on this land to further enhance like he just goes on and on about how like the words in the document are of metaphysical importance, and god damn, Yunan's so smart.
Okay,
And we'll be there with Arthur Shasta being like, look, I'm telling you, there's absolutely nothing there that is making me go, ooh, trap. It's just a really good deal.
No, I'm not saying it's a
same,
trap.
if not better than. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it's really well worded. There's nothing maleficent. What's the word? Malicious. There is no malicious intent.
Are we still working for Lambert Heights? I just want to, for Kaelus's mind, are we still representing them? Just so I'm aware.
You're doing an exceptionally poor job of it, but yes, I'm off to go compliment him.
We because it sounds like we're now supporting this Radiant Corona. I just want to be on the same page as everybody else. Are we abandoning Lambert Heights? What is going on here?
All I know is I'm gonna go congratulate these fine people. and that's
Oh, wow.
exactly where the Novo's heading.
I mean, my understanding is we were to make sure this place remains safe in case of future invasion. I don't see how putting them in a position where we have solved their major metaphysical issues, put them in the stewardship of someone much more enlightened than all of us combined, and potentially give them the power of an exigence with which to defend themselves.
Disagreed. The Novo shouts from the other end of the hallway.
On the contrary,
Ambassador?
Lotus says, I actually agree. Yeah, I agree with Arthashasta. If we can succeed at all of our goals and not have to actually support this place financially, then we are all the better for it. And I'm sure that Root would agree.
You will see about that. The Novo yells from the other end of the hallway.
So we should probably stop the Novo then. Is that what you're saying?
If he's planning on
He's
killing
got that
someone, then
looking
yes.
He's already running.
Kind of laughs. He's like, although he has spent years engaging in debate and theological pursuits, I still don't think De Novo is a match for them when it comes to wits and words. I mean, unless we were to draw a sword and to cut them all down. Oh God, we should probably go after him.
I mean, I mean.
You can't hear it, but I am laughing a lot over here. Like, I couldn't hold the button down. Like,
Okay. So, Cal,
yes. All right.
you
So
want to talk to
once,
the king privately?
yes. Once they have gone out of the way, she approaches, and again, despite being a dragonblood, she still sees him as royalty and is actually deferring to him. Which, yeah, she's still only been a dragonblood for about a year, so this is again, no, he's a king. My character's still just a prince type thing.
Right.
But she says, so I wanted to talk to you about the duel with the ghosts.
Yes, it sounded like you had something in hand.
Yes, I thought I've been thinking about it. They want the three champions from our side to fight their three champions, and I was wondering, and it's obviously completely up to you. Would you consider being one of the champions to take sword for your kingdom?
There's this pause from him. You can see him regarding you, but it's as if his eyes are seeing someone else. He regards a profile that doesn't quite match Tarala's, looking a little higher, without actually looking over you. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
And recounts to you a story about how his men were cold and afraid, and none of them were truly battle-hardened or absolutely tested, and yet with the words from Tarala's father, he turned a shivering, cold, and inexperienced inexperienced lot of plowshares, or plowshares, into one of the bravest fighting forces he'd ever seen. And he had used words just like that. How could he do less for his country than he then did for him? His men, who are no longer around, has survived his troops in a manner quite he considers unbefitting a true leader, general, and king. and would gladly lay down his life if it meant the continuation of the kingdom in an honourable state.
Tarala smiles, gives a bow, and extends a hand, not in like the normal handshake way, but almost like the way to from military, like two from the military might reach out to clasp, and she says, then you will have a dragon at your side.
Least I can ask for. And that is where we will start our first break. It will be very quick because we only have an hour and 10 minutes left. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be hopefully no longer than 10 minutes, and then we'll jump straight back in and jump into the last hour. Post haste, thank you everyone for listening. We will see you again shortly.